What's up, Wizards? It is Dev, and you and I together have reached the end of Wilds of Eldraine spoiler season. They dumped 40 plus cards on us this afternoon like they like to do, and like we like to do, as is tradition around here, we're going to sift through all that garbage and bring you the 10 best cards from the day, because I do think there were 10 that are at least worth pointing out. But no time to waste. We got to go ahead and get to it with some sort of, I guess, honorable mentions. This is kind of a list, but not really, honestly. So let's look at 3 cards that I just kind of liked first. Let's check out Spider Food, Minecart Daredevil, and of course, Edgewall Pack. Now, Spider Food is 3 mana, 2 and a green for a sorcery. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Create a food token. So just kind of a better version of this effect that we keep seeing in Limited. So I kind of like that. Just randomly creates a food token and is usually worth playing in the main deck and sealed and stuff like that. So a cool card, but it's also just kind of horrifying. I wanted to point this out because I've always kind of been like, you know, it'd be cool to be a fairy. It'd be kind of sweet to be a fairy. But here's the thing. Spider webs. I hadn't considered that. Now it's making me rethink my entire position. So this card just kind of horrifies me. But let's look at Minecart Daredevil next. This card I mostly just like for the Donkey Kong Country reference, but it's 3 mana, 2 and a red for a 4/2 dwarf knight, and that's all the creature does. But it also has Ride the Rails for 2 mana, 1 and a red for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+1 till end of turn. So 4 power, 3 mana guy on a sort of okay, like, pump spell that's instant speed. Like, I don't know, he might be halfway decent in Limited. I kind of like the idea of there being a line where your opponent blocks one of your guys and they think they're going to trade or their guy's going to survive and your guy dies. But you turn the tables, oh how the turn tables, and then not only do you blow out their guy, keep your guy, but you also have a 4/2 waiting in the wings. So I think that might be an important line in Limited. It's a neat little pump spell for just, you know, a common. And Edgewall Pack isn't actually that impressive. It's just 3 and a red for a 3/3 dog with menace. And when it ETBs, you get one of them rats that can't block. I just really think this card is hilarious. The art is amazing. The flavor text is great. It's really just a great, wonderful card. It's not a good card, but it is a fantastic card. Now for number 10 in air quotes, again, not really a list, but I just couldn't decide between 2 cards. And I decided, oh yeah, I can just talk about both of them. So here's Hopeful Vigil and Witch's Mark. Now, Vigil is 2 mana. It's 1 and a white for an enchantment. When it ETBs, you get a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. And when Vigil is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you scry 2. You can also pay 2 and a white to sacrifice it and kind of force the scry if you want to, but obviously just bargain it away. And in the meantime, it's 2 mana for a 2/2 with vigilance and like a halfway relevant creature type. So all that's pretty good. It also satisfies all those like 2 permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn sort of limited cards that we've seen in the set. So all around, just something I wanted to point out. I thought it was cool. A Witch's Mark is maybe better. I just thought this card was neat too. You'll hear me just say today that I thought this card was cool, but I also think that a lot of these cards might have some sort of niche relevance, and I think this is one of them. It's 2 mana, 1 and a red for a sorcery. You may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. Create a Wicked Roll token attached to up to 1 target creature you control. So it's a Tormenting Voice, but I guess notably it's not completely dead if you like... you don't have other cards to discard or whatever, right? Like it says up to, you may discard blah, blah, blah. So if you just have a dude out and you want to throw a Wicked Roll token onto him, I guess you have that mode on this card. But it's neat that it's a Tormenting Voice that also has this kind of frosting on it because it's actually pretty sweet, right? Like this is Tormenting Voice and a creature gets +1/+1 and you get a little ping when the creature dies. And you get, I guess for what it's worth, you get an enchantment that came into play, you know, something to bargain away if you want to do that. Just really kind of a lot of value on this Tormenting Voice. I think that's worth pointing out. Hope I'm not just like being a mark here, but I think the cards are pretty good. So let's move on to the next card. It's technically number 9, Sugar Rush, which has put that song from Wreck-It Ralph in my head all day. Sugar Rush. That stupid song. It's 2 mana. I like Wreck-It Ralph, though. It's 1 and a black for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 till end of turn, draw a card. I almost said -3 because I'm just used to seeing minuses, I guess, on on black instants. But no, this is a pump spell that probably should be in red. Are you in the right color, bud? I just think that's kind of neat. In like a really low to the ground sort of mono black aggro deck or something that tops out at Childred or whatever, right? But still plays all these like 1 and 2 mana guys. This could be kind of really neat. I mean, +3/+0 at instant speed on an unblocked dude is a big chunk of damage all at once and cantrip. Okay, like maybe getting my deck depending on like what exactly we're doing. I think there's probably better ways to use the slot, but all in all, it's a cool little pump spell. Next, let's check out Diminisher Witch. This is 3 mana, 2 and a blue for a 3/2 human warlock with bargain. When it ETBs, if it was bargained, create a cursed roll token attached to target creature an opponent controls. Now, this is not even the best 3 mana blue creature with bargain that's vanilla if you don't bargain it. It's also 3/2. So there's actually a really similar card to this in terms of the stat line and the colors and all that coming up. But I still think this is a cool card, man. It's basically a sort of blue removal spell. Like you get Frogify, sort of, on a guy, like a dude with some stats too. You know, sometimes this will take a chunk out of the opponent or just like trade in combat. Like, oh, that's kind of decent considering you also got a removal spell. I know it's not like a straight up removal spell, but like, solid. Let's move on to Moment of Valor here. This is 3 mana, 2 and a white for an instant. Choose one. Untap target creature. It gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Or destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. So, valorous stance. You know, like it's kind of a bit of a valorous stance. I think stance is probably better most of the time just because you get it at a 1 mana discount. And that means a lot. It actually means a great deal, really. So, I'm not too sure how good it actually is. Not unlimited, like maybe, right? It saves the guy from removal. And it's worth noting, for that extra mana, you get to take out a different suite of creatures, yes, but you also get to do extra tricks, like untapping a guy and blocking with it. So there's some neat stuff about this card. And again, maybe limited playable, but while we have a better option in Standard, I don't think it sees much play. But it's still an undeniably powerful card. Now, I think we're on number 6 here. This is Slumbering Keep Guard. I kind of really like this, man. It's just a single white mana for a 1/1 human knight at common. And whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you scry 1. You can also pay 2 and a white to have Keep Guard get +1/+1 until end of turn for each enchantment you control. Okay, a little bit, man. Like, I don't think this quite makes the mustard. I don't think it gets included in the sandwich in terms of like the green-white enchantments deck in Standard. I feel like I keep saying that about cards in this set. It's kind of sad. Like, it's an enchantment-focused set, and I'm pretty sure it only added like 1 card, maybe, to the already existing enchantments deck in Standard. Not to say there aren't good enchantments in the set. They just kind of work differently than you want them to in some ways. But in any case, I will say that for just a single mana to get this on the board and start scrying like pretty quickly, those kind of decks do want to fix their draws. It's not quite draw a card, but it's a single mana. It is a single mana for this. And I really think that's worth noting. Even in Commander, where I think like Enchantress decks are just going to want to play this guy, like period. He's going to be in the 99 of those decks, so he's noteworthy for no other reason than that. But maybe in enchantment decks, this might quite just barely make it. Not just because of the scry, which I do think is super relevant, but this little mana sink is actually great later on, right? Like starting on like turn 4 or 5. This is a lot of mana to activate, yeah, but if you don't have too much else going on, or if you're in top deck mode and you didn't get it, you just drew dead or whatever, right? This can at least become like a 5/5, I think, like relatively easily in these enchantment decks. So I don't know, man. I've always been a sucker for like a 1 mana guy that becomes really good later on in the game and then like also has some relevance leading up to that moment. And this guy is a perfect example of that. Just really want to gush about this dude all day. I think he's one of the best cards of the day easily. Why is he number 6? So I think he's great is all I'm trying to get out of here. But let's check out Savior of the Sleeping next. This is 3 mana, 2 and a white for a 2/3 human knight with vigilance. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Savior of the Sleeping. So first of all, this reminds me of like old school MTG night art from like Mirage Visions Weatherlight. The old Zalfirin Knights just looks really, really good, man. I really like that about the card, but it's also another one of these that triggers whenever an enchantment goes to the graveyard, and I like that we're seeing more of these in this set. Earlier on in spoiler season, there was a 4 mana black creature that draws you a card whenever an enchantment goes to the yard, and I was like, oh, we've never really seen something like this, and everyone instantly reminded me that Femorific Enchantress is a card. I really like that card. I don't know why I forgot about it. It's also like $26 right now to get a copy of Femorific Enchantress, so it's nice to have a redundant effect with that card. Now, that's uncommon too. in Standard. I like that, but I just like that effect. And as a matter of fact, the number 1 card, little foreshadowing here, is going to be one of these kinds of cards. Now, this guy is probably just got worse than Unruly Mob on average, which is not necessarily where you want to be, but this is still kind of a unique effect, and I just like whenever we see something like this. Let's check out Tenacious Tome Seeker next. 3 mana, 2 and a blue for a 3/2 human knight with Bargain. When it ETBs, if it was Bargain, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. We are talking now. Just like a creature we looked at earlier, Diminisher, which, like I was saying, is a 3 mana, 3/2 that doesn't do anything at all if it's not Bargain. It's just like a kind of a crappy body, you know. So you do have to point that out about the card. It's definitely got a pretty low floor to it. Sunken Living Room and all that. But at the ceiling, this is 3 mana. This is only 3 mana, let's put it that way, for a fairly powerful effect that's been like kind of relevant in the past a few times. So I don't know, man. Like if Shipwrecked Dowser can do a thing from time to time, I'm pretty sure this guy can do a thing from time to time. Only 3 mana is actually pretty good for this. Let's keep it pushing. Let's look at number 3, I guess. Well, sure. It's Toadstool Admirer. He looks like he's having a good time. It's a nice weekend. It's just a single green mana for 1/1 Oofy with Ward 2. You can also pay 3 and a green to put a +1/+1 counter on Toadstool Admirer. A nice little mana sink there. But what I like about this is that it's just kind of a bogle. You know, it doesn't have hexproof or anything, but this is really, really difficult to target in the early game if you are playing like an Auras deck or something like that. So, again, relevant for no other reason than that. It is not quite a slippery bogle. But, is all I'm saying. We also got to look at Grabby Giant today. GG. Nice initials. It's 4 mana, 3 and a red for a 4/3 giant with reach. You can also pay 2 and a red to sacrifice an artifact or land and draw a card. You can also play That's Mine. It's just 1 and a red for an instant that creates a treasure token. Okay, man, an instant for 2 mana creates a treasure token. That's, we're starting to cook a little bit. And then on the other end, we got a 4 mana, 4/3 reach that can take out like Haughty Djinns and stuff. And it's got this kind of like Skullport Merchant sort of kind of mode on it, which I kind of like. So, outlet for your treasure tokens if you don't need mana anymore. Sack 'em, draw cards. Food tokens, sack 'em, draw cards now. Like, turns your food into clues a little bit. Come on. Like, I like it in limited if nothing else, but even Standard, I think you have better options than this on the whole in Standard. But at the same time, this is another one where like I really like its haircut. There's some implications here. There's so many adventure creatures in this set that I think are just really on the cusp, and this guy's riding it. But next and last, actually, the number 1 card of the day, I guess, is Wicked Visitor. This is 2 mana, 1 and a black. Great name, by the way, for a 2/2 Nightmare. Great creature type, but check out this text box. I'm getting to it. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Oh, it's a Blood Artist for enchantments. It's my favorite card in the entire set. Seriously, I am very pumped for this. We looked at that stupid. I like this like line of text, this sort of kind of ability. Enchantment goes to the graveyard, do a thing. I like that so much that I put that stupid knight like number 5 above like 2 or 3 objectively better cards. That's how much I like this trigger, right? So this guy's gonna be number 1. I just snuck this dude in on us last day. Like, he's not that relevant. Come on. Come on. If nothing else, like again, I have to bring up Commander because there are gonna be Commander players that are like me, just salivating right now. I am literally mouth watering thinking about like the possibilities, dude. Oh, the possibilities. And that's Commander, a giant ocean of incredible, just the things, the places you'll go. But even in Standard, man, I think that just with like some wicked roll stuff going on, making stuff, just not even wicked rolls, but wicked rolls add to the damage. So you probably want to play those specifically. Just roll tokens and putting more roll tokens on a creature so other roll tokens fall off and making that work. It could work. Ariete, probably somewhere in the mix. There's something going on here. We can make this work. Maybe play like legendary enchantments. Are there legendary enchantments? And probably you legend rule them in the get a pink. That's probably not good enough, but there's probably multiple ways to just sacrifice a bunch of enchantments and make it work. Come on, man. I really want this deck to be a thing. I really do. It'll be one of the first things I stream or put on the Patreon poll. We're going to work on this tonight. I can't tell you. I just did like a weird laugh on camera, like, one of those. That's how like nerdy and excited I am about this card. But if nothing else, man, Commander, we got to start working on Ariete Commander. This goes probably somewhere. We're going to, it's just this card, man. This card might actually show up on the top 25. Just you wait. But that is it for the day. There were a couple of other cards that might be worth noting for one reason or another, like Plunge into Winter, I think it's called. It's actually a neat little tempo piece. Draws you a card, taps creature down, instant speed. You get a scry. It seems okay. And then there's Minstrosity, which is just like hilarious. You know me, I'm a fan of a good pun. Crushed it on that one. Very good. But that's basically it from today. A lot of the other cards are like, But if you want to see every single card in the set, we're going to be doing that soon. I believe it's going to be Saturday night, the day before my birthday. Saturday night, we're going to do sort of a combination birthday stream and speed run set review like we like to do. I'm going to put myself through one final ridiculous trial for spoiler season before we get on to the top 10s and the top 10 sleepers and deck techs and stuff. Just be there. We're going to be there sometime probably like 7. I'm going to try to make it 7 something. Something like that on Twitch, EST, Eastern Standard Time. Just follow us on Twitch. You'll get the noti when it comes. Aside from that, support us on Patreon. Subscribe to the channel. I was going to say subscribe to the video. Subscribe to the video. Like the channel. Do those things. And I'm going to pull a card from the couch here. Let's see what we get really fast. We've been doing slow pulls lately. Let's try a quick one. It's a Llanowar Stalker. You guys remember Llanowar Stalker? How it was going to maybe be something, it's just a green mana for a 1/1 elf warrior. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+0 till end of turn. So I play 2 elves. It's a 3/1 for just 1 mana. They've never printed one of those. It's great. It's not amazing. Even in Stompy and Standard right now, there's just better options. I'll just play the Savannah Lions. It just is a Savannah Lions all the time and not have to worry about playing creatures. So, it could be better. Still a neat card. I wanted it to do something. It never did. But anyway, that is spoiler season, everybody. But again, stick with the channel. This is actually where it starts getting good. We get to do my favorite video, which is the top 10 sleepers. Top 20 something, probably 25. Who knows how many top X cards we're going to do this time. Probably trying to keep it at 25. But I could do a top 50. This set looks very strong. Just let me know how you feel about everything in the set down there. What are your favorite cards? What stuff are you waiting to play at the pre-release? What are your favorite mechanics and stuff? All that. Now's the time to come together. I burped there. I don't know if you could hear it, but there was a little bit of a burp in between there. But yeah, now's the time. Come together as a community and just talk about what we want to do with this set. All the nasty things we want to do with this set. But for now, like I said, I'm going to turn it over to you. Just do all the YouTube stuff, and I will see you again very soon with some just wild content. Just hang out with us is all I'm saying. Subscribe if you haven't done it yet, because we got a ride to go on with this set. But I'm going to get out of here for now, guys. Start editing this video so it'll get out before midnight. That's a dream, isn't it? But love you guys. I'm Deb from The Place. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind.